Hey, this is the lesson for page 134 and 135 in our books. Okay, we'll be moving forward. Also, I wanted to look at page 133. A lot of what we will do on page 133 is based off of what we're about to read. Okay, so we'll need to come back and do some of page 133 as we work along. Okay, as far as setting, characters, plot, and theme, we talked about that quite a bit yesterday. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the story, and we'll be able to fill out some of these next things that we need. Okay, before we get going with the new vocab and the story for today, our do now will be based on the word liberty. When school is out for the summer, I feel a sense of liberty because blank. Okay, so liberty is kind of like freedom, right? A sense of freedom because of blank. All right, so I want you guys to go ahead and do that. When school's out for the summer, I feel a sense of liberty because blank. I need to write that down so that when I go to Canvas, I can just get that done. Okay, so hang with me just a sec. Okay, all right, sorry about that. Okay, all right, so the word tend, to do something blank and in a blank way. To do something, I'm not sure what they're looking for, so let's just do this. Okay, so to do something regularly and in a particular way. Okay, so if you, for example, you need to go tend to your dogs, okay, or tend to the cattle, okay, something like that. So what that would mean is that you need to go feed them. You need to go take care of them, right? To do something regularly and in a particular way, okay? So that's to tend to basically to take care of it. Okay, what do you tend to do in your free time? I tend to blank. Read, work out, help around the house in my free time. Okay, in my free time, I like to go ice fishing. Okay, so I tend to go ice fishing during my free time or in my free time. Okay, all right, the next word is select. I know we've all heard that and probably used it a bunch, but let's be particular with the vocab that they want. So to choose an item from a group of things. Okay, so you select it. What is one way to select a good book to read? One way to select a good book to read is to blank whatever. Okay, that's what you're going to do. Um, all right, so we've got tend and we've got select. To choose an item from a group of things, to do something regularly and in a particular way. Okay, all right, good. All right, so let's kind of start to read a part of this story, the lottery. Okay, we've kind of made some predictions and things like that. All right, so looking at this picture, we had the town square, right? Okay, yesterday we talked about that. That's the town square. A lot of people going to it. Okay, the morning of June 27th was clear and sunny, with the fresh warmth of a full summer day. The flowers were blossoming profusely, and the grass was richly green. The people of the village began to gather in the square. Between the post office and the bank, around 10 o'clock. In some towns, there were so many people that the lottery took 2 days and had to be started on June 26th. But in this village, where there were only about 300 people, the whole lottery took less than 2 hours. So it could begin at 10 o'clock in the morning and still be through in the time to allow the villagers to get home for the noon dinner. Okay? Uh, so profusely, in large amounts, or abundantly. Okay, that was one of the words. Okay. All right, so we're learning about the lottery. Ooh. Okay. Um, the children assembled first, of course. School was recently over for the summer, and the feeling of liberty sat uneasily on most of them. They tended to gather together quietly for a while before they broke into boisterous play, and their talk was still of the classroom and the teacher, of books and reprimands. Bobby Martin had already stuffed his pockets full of stones, and the other boys soon followed his example. Selecting the smoothest and roundest stones, Bobby and Harry Jones and Dickie Delacroix, the villagers pronounced this name Delacroix, eventually made a great pile of stones in one corner of the square and guarded it against the raids of other boys. The girls stood aside, talking among themselves, looking over their shoulders at the boys, and the very small children rolled in the dust or clung to the hands of their older brothers or sisters. Soon the men began to gather, surveying their own children, speaking of planting and rain, tractors and taxes. They stood together away from the pile of stones in the corner, and their jokes were quiet, and they smiled rather than laughed. The women, wearing faded house dresses and sweaters, came shortly after their menfolk. They greeted one another and exchanged bits of gossip as they went to join their husbands. Soon the women standing by their husbands began to call to their children, and the children came, reluctantly having to be called 4 or 5 times. Bobby Martin ducked under his mother's grasping hand and ran, laughing, back to the pile of stones. His father spoke up sharply, and Bobby came quickly and took his place between his father and his oldest brother. Okay, so we've got the words. We've got the words assembled, gathered directly or gathered together as a group. Okay, so if you assemble, you gather together. Boisterous, noisy, lacking discipline, rowdy. So when they were talking about the boys out of school, they were boisterous, right? They were noisy, they were running wild. Okay, and then exchanged, gave something and received something in return. Okay, all right. So the questions are that we need to answer. What is happening on the morning of June 27th? Okay, on June 27th, blank. What imagery does the author use to describe the setting? The author uses imagery like, so I want you to think back to what we read, look back in your book, the way that the author created the setting. Okay, yesterday we kind of talked about this. The best authors help us to feel like we're right there, like we can actually see where they're at. Okay, so what imagery does the author use? Okay, now react and write. Underline one detail in this part of the text that strikes you as unusual. What did you underline and why? Okay, I underlined blank. Okay, all right. All right, so I want you guys to do 134, 135. Okay, and we will go from there. I'm gonna upload this video, get it going. So we're 2 pages into the lottery. They're gathering at the town square. Men are talking, women are coming. Crazy kids that are just out of school. They're gathering rocks. I wonder why they're gathering rocks. Kind of weird. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at. Okay, let's go ahead and get those done. Thanks, guys. Work hard. Have fun.